You know that feeling. You're standing there, staring at the departures board, and you see that dreaded word flash next to your flight. Delayed, or even worse, canceled. It's that sinking feeling, right? You're there, waiting for your flight, and suddenly, everything comes to a stop. Delays, cancellations, plans thrown into chaos. But this isn't just bad luck. Today, we're pulling back the curtain to reveal what's really happening behind the scenes. The pressures squeezing the system and the extreme weather events unleashing chaos on the ground. That sense of being stuck in a system stretched to its breaking point. Today, we pull back the curtain on why this happens, from overwhelming demand and aging tech to multi-billion-dollar operational chaos. And what happens when this strained system meets an unstoppable force? Extreme weather that pushes entire airports to the absolute edge. And here's the good news. A brand new rulebook just flipped the script. You now have more power than ever before when your flight gets delayed, canceled, or changed.
You know that feeling. You're standing there staring at the departures board and you see that dreaded word flash next to your flight, delayed, or even worse, canceled. It's that sinking feeling, right? That sense of frustration, of being completely stuck in a system that feels way out of your control. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why this seems to be happening all the time, and, this is the important part, what your new rights are when it does. Okay. Let's get into it.
So here's our flight plan for this explainer. First, we're going to look at the big picture pressures that are squeezing the entire system. Then, we'll drop down to the ground level and see what happens when extreme weather just unleashes chaos. From there, we'll connect all that back to you and your ticket, what you're actually owed. And finally, we'll get to the best part, the new rulebook that puts a whole lot more power back into your hands as a passenger.
All right, let's jump right into part one, the squeezed sky. Because here's the thing, a flight delay isn't just some random, isolated event. Nope, it's usually a symptom of these massive, industry-wide pressures bearing down on the whole system.
And this quote just nails it, right? A delayed flight isn't just your problem. It's not even just the airline's problem. It's this shared challenge inside a system that is stretched to its absolute breaking point. And that's creating a future that feels pretty uncertain for everybody.
So what's one of the biggest pressures? It's simple. Pure, overwhelming demand. Just look at the Asia-Pacific region. By 2028, air traffic there is projected to shoot up by over 70%. That kind of explosive growth puts a massive strain on the very foundation of air travel, our air traffic control systems, a lot of which, believe it or not, are still running on old-school radar tech that just can't keep up. So you've got this insane demand, but here's the twist. The supply of new planes is actually falling behind. Take United Airlines. They had to slash their summer 2024 schedule by 30%. And why? Because they couldn't get their new planes delivered on time. The airlines want to fly more, but they literally can't get the aircraft to do it.
So, you have to wonder, what's the financial toll of all this chaos? Well, just the hiccups in air traffic management alone cost airlines an estimated $5 billion every single year. That's money just burned on extra fuel, extra maintenance, a cost that, you guessed it, eventually ripples right back down to us, the passenger.
Okay, so we have these huge systemic pressures from 30,000 feet. But now let's see what happens when that overstretched system gets slammed with a crisis on the ground. Specifically, when extreme weather pushes an entire airport right to the edge. And it really does not get more extreme than this. I mean, can you even imagine being at the airport when an EF4 tornado with winds hitting 200 miles per hour literally tears straight through the terminal? This isn't a movie script. It's a real-world example of the kind of violent, totally unpredictable forces airports have to deal with.
And then you've got the total opposite problem, water. During Hurricane Wilma, a monster 5-foot storm surge just swallowed the Key West airport, leaving the runways and the terminal under 3 feet of water. You obviously can't run a single flight when your airport is, quite literally, underwater.
And this isn't just small airports. We're talking about one of the busiest hubs on the planet, Chicago O'Hare. A so-called 100-year flood was so intense it knocked out essential equipment, including a massive 100-foot crane. When these things happen, it causes a complete operational meltdown that can take days, sometimes weeks, to fix.
Okay, so we've seen the huge systemic problems and the absolute chaos on the ground. Now let's pivot to what you really want to know. When your trip goes sideways, what do the airlines actually owe you?
I mean, this is the crucial question, isn't it? All these massive forces are one thing, but at the end of the day, you're the one standing there holding a ticket. So what are your rights?
what does it all mean for you? Okay, so this is probably the single most important distinction you need to understand because it determines everything. Was the disruption within the airline's control, or was it outside of its control? Within control is stuff like their own commercial decisions. Think crew scheduling problems or routine maintenance. Outside control is pretty much everything else we've been talking about: crazy weather, security issues, or an order from air traffic control.
And when a delay is the airline's fault, when it's within their control, you might be entitled to some cold, hard cash. Take Canada's rules, for example. If you're delayed 3 to 6 hours on a small airline, they owe you $125. If that delay stretches past 9 hours, it jumps all the way up to $500. It's simple. The longer they make you wait, the more they owe you.
And now for the main event. Let's get into the new rule book. The U.S. Department of Transportation just rolled out some game-changing new rules that seriously empower passengers. This is the stuff you absolutely need to know.
First things first, we finally have a clear, simple, no-nonsense definition of a canceled flight. No more ambiguity. If the flight was up for sale in the airline system when you bought your ticket, and then they didn't fly it, it's canceled. A new flight number means it's a new flight, which means your original one was, you guessed it, canceled. It's as simple as that now.
Next up is this really important concept called a significant change. See, it's not just about outright cancellations anymore. If an airline messes with your itinerary enough, it now legally qualifies as a significant change. And that means you are entitled to a full refund if you decide you don't want to take the new flight.
So what actually counts as significant? Well, if your domestic flight is moved up to depart 3 hours earlier or arrives 3 hours later. For an international flight, that threshold is 6 hours. Or if they change your departure or arrival airport, or if they add more connections to your trip, or, and this is a big one, if they downgrade you from, say, premium to economy. And crucially, any change that takes away an accessibility feature you rely on, any of these now gives you the power to just say no thanks and get all your money back.
And here it is, folks. This is the real game changer. The refunds are now automatic. That's huge. The burden is no longer on you to chase them down, to fill out forms, to fight for your money. If your flight is canceled or significantly changed and you turn down whatever they offer you instead, they are required by law to refund you automatically.
And these new rights, they extend to your luggage too. So if your checked bag doesn't show up within 12 hours for a domestic flight or between 15 and 30 hours for an international flight, you are automatically entitled to get a full refund for that checked bag fee you paid.
So where does all this leave us? On the one hand, we're now armed with this powerful new rule book that gives us way more leverage than we've ever had before. But, on the other hand, all those fundamental pressures on the system, the squeezed sky, the chaotic weather, the operational limits, none of that is going away. Which leaves us with a pretty big question. Are we heading into a new golden age of passenger empowerment, or is permanent turbulence just the new reality we all have to fly through?
So are we entering a golden age of passenger empowerment, or is permanent turbulence just the new reality of air travel? Which brings us to the most important part, your new power. The U.S. Department of Transportation has just changed the game. We're talking automatic refunds for canceled flights, a clear definition of a significant change, and your rights when your luggage is lost. This is the new rulebook, and it puts the power back in your hands.